So how do I decide which mark to protect?
So the important thing is to choose a strong, a distinctive mark. You don't have to register everything. So think of what business names, logos, slogans, or packaging truly represent your brand identity and what will feature prominently both now in terms of what you're doing as a business, but also in the years to come. Once you've identified those brand assets, then you need to make sure that you conduct thorough clearance searches to make sure you're not going to step on anyone else's toes. Trademark disputes can be costly and a real drain on your time when you're trying to grow your business. Avoid them by running clearance searches and making sure you're on safe ground before you start the process. If in doubt on that side, get professional help.
So is it better to trademark both your name and your logo, or can you just get away with just one?
So you need to think about coverage, flexibility, and budget. Now, the belt and braces approach is basically register everything. So register the name, register the logo, and register the two together. That gives you full coverage, but it obviously comes at a cost. If budgets don't cover that, then my advice, start with the word. It's almost always the most important to the business. It generally is the one that sticks over time. I always say to clients, look, the marketing department every few years are probably going to want to refresh the brand identity, so the visual identity of the brand. The name generally sticks. So lock that down. If that's all budgets cover, then lock down the word only. If budgets are wider, then go word and logo as well. Now, sometimes it's not possible to protect the word only mark. So you can't register every single word. There are some words that are prohibited from registration. The one that we see is the biggest issue is descriptive words. So for example, if I try to register the nightclub for nightclub services, then it will be rejected. And that's because it's descriptive. So it does what it says on the tin, basically. And there is a public policy and prevention on registration for marks of that type. In that case, it might be that actually it's advisable to file a combined application which covers the word in a distinctive logo format or with another visual element together with it. It gets you some protection. The protection isn't as strong because the protection to the word will be diluted by the logo element. But I always say some protection is better than no protection.
So how important is it to think about future brand changes when you decide on what you're going to protect?
So trademarks are a long-term investment. Once the application is filed, it can't be amended other than by narrowing it, so by deleting goods and services. And as trademarks can be renewed indefinitely, it really is important to get it right at the start. So before you file your applications, it's important to bottom out what you use the mark for now, what you definitely plan to use the mark for in the next few years, and also think about what you might use the mark for in the next few years. And you want to cover all of those different goods and services off in the initial application. Now, you also want to think about where you currently use the mark, where you're likely to use the mark in the next few years, but also where you produce or source products. That's going to help you decide where to register the trademark. So it might be that currently you trade only in the UK. So, okay, definitely going to go for the UK. But it might be that actually in the next couple of years, the intention is to roll out into Europe. So you might also want to cover the EU. But perhaps you source your products from China. And actually that might be an issue for you. You might see counterfeits coming out of there. You might see people in China registering the trademark for themselves. So again, you might want to protect the trademark in China. That really helps you then just scope out what you need to protect, where you need to protect it, and what you need to protect it for.